Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Rinks and welcome to the second installment of Talking DC. I'm sorry that it took a while to talk about something DC. To be quite honest, I've just been very lazy to film some things, and I've been caught up with my real life work right now with everything that's been going on. But as some interesting news came out the other day, I felt compelled to make this video. So as you can tell by the title, in this video we're going to be talking about the Snyder Cut. To say that I'm excited is an understatement, because I never thought this would happen. Like, I'm gonna be honest, in my placement of the whole Snyder Cut movement was, I would like to see it, but I didn't know if I was gonna see it at all. And I was gonna move on from there, and then, hopefully the company learns its lesson. But, as the news broke, we're getting it. In this video, I want to go more in depth with it, with as much details as I can, as much as I know of about the Snyder Cut, for people who don't know, because to the general audience, it's just going to be a regular director's cut as their knowledge, but there's more to it. It's 3 years in the making of so much of information being withheld and so many things being discovered, and also not to mention the fans rallying behind the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. I'm going to try to condense this as much as I can to maybe to the point, and if you want to research more about it, you can, but I'm going to try to make it as where people can understand about how big of a deal this is, especially to DC fans especially. With that out of the way, let's get right into this video. To properly start this off, let's rewind the clock back to 4 years ago in 2016 when BVS first released. BVS didn't do very well with the general audience, and I think it's because there's a lot of factors into it. One, the title is very misleading. It's called Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. The marketing of the movie made it sound like this movie was going to be a big all-out brawl between the two superheroes, like who's going to win, who's going to triumph it over the other, and who's going to be the strongest between the two. Can Batman beat Superman, or Superman can beat Batman? And then also the trailers showing too much, showing Doomsday, showing Wonder Woman, and just giving away a lot of stuff, which that's what a trailer shouldn't do, is give away a lot. It's supposed to intrigue you first to get you to watch the movie. And then when the movie finally came out, it's not what they promoted it. The movie dealt with a lot of themes. It had a lot of political stuff about how Superman is viewed as a god when he's a guy that's trying to do the right thing. And then you got a guy like Batman who he's been through it all, 20 years in Gotham, and he just had enough, where at a point where he became ruthless and he kills people. And also just about how the media portrays superheroes, about how they twist things and how they cut things or edit things, and how they present the news about how superheroes would be treated if they lived in today's society. Not to mention, you had a lot of Greek mythology references and Christian mythology references to it too. Another thing to add to all of this is that with Superman and Batman facing off against each other, it's not a physical fight, it's more of a battle of ideals and beliefs for each other, and that's why the movie went hand in hand about talking about Superman with how the media was portraying him and how these political figures treated him. And then you got Batman, who just doesn't care anymore, and he just does what it takes to stop crime. Even when he's losing himself, he's becoming the person that murdered his parents. In my honest opinion, it should have been just called Dawn of Justice. And then with the Bat logo and Superman logo, I think it didn't need to be called Batman v Superman. So when you get all this, the audience wasn't ready for it. It felt like they were being misled to this gladiator battle that they were promoting, and instead they got like a political thriller. When you get to the theatrical and the director's cut of BVS, theatrical cut didn't have any of the extra stuff that the Ultimate Edition did. The Ultimate Edition had scenes that made the movie more sense, and they shouldn't have cut it out in the original or in the theatrical cut. But because of this aftermath, this actually changed the course of DC by a little bit, because if you look at Suicide Squad, that actually changed the tone of it, because the original version was a darker take of Suicide Squad. We were supposed to get more Joker, we were supposed to see more of the abusive side to Joker and Harley, and just among other things, and they just changed it. Because they wanted it to be catered to a bit more of the, I wouldn't say family, but they wanted to market more where they can get the maximum money. Which is kind of funny because even without China, they made a lot of money for that movie. I'm kind of sensing a theme here, if they were to just stick with their guns, maybe they can avoid all of this. But more on that later. But after all that, Zack Snyder was tasked to direct Justice League, and then now we get right into it. Justice League was in post-production. Zack Snyder was actually almost done with the movie, but tragedy struck. On March 20th, 2017, Autumn Snyder passed away. And after his daughter's passing, he tried to go back into work. He tried to actually go back into production of the movie because he wanted to bury himself with his loss. And I really do feel for him, actually. And I really hope no one has to go through that, but sometimes people do, and it's really hard. So I can't imagine what he was going through when that happened. So I can understand why he wanted to go right back into it. And he was able to. He was still working on the movie. But Warner Brothers felt like he wasn't right to finish the movie, and they used that to get rid of him, to fire him. I know a lot of articles say that he stepped down. When you go back and read a lot of articles, and also a lot of things suggesting to it that he didn't step down. They got rid of him. After Zack Snyder left, Joss Whedon was tasked to finish Justice League. And then it gets worse. So Joss Whedon was tasked to finish Justice League, and a lot of people were replaced. Hans Zimmer was replaced by Danny Elfman. Now, normally I would say, give Danny Elfman a chance, but Danny Elfman wasn't really the best person for this particular movie. I do credit him for a lot of music that I love, and he is a brilliant composer. But when you're choosing a composer for a movie, you're choosing that person for a reason to set the tone for that movie. And choosing the right one is important. And with a lot of his music did not go well with Justice League, with some of the footage. And also with Joss Whedon, he was tasked that he had to do reshoots. And they had to go in and they basically shot the whole movie a different movie. And they got rid of a lot of Zack's work. Like, if, as I'm talking to you, all the pictures I'm showing to you that are in black and white, that's all of Zack Snyder that he's been posting on Vero. That's all of his work, but none of it was in the final cut. And then anything that's like in color, that was Joss Whedon. And I've said this in my introduction video, my first Talking DC video, that I hated Justice League. And it's just, there's a lot of things going about it, but I'm trying to save myself for at that part when I'm ready to talk about it. But business resumed, and they finished making the movie. And then the movie released, and it's a bomb. This was the weakest opening in the DCEU movies, as of now. And both general audience and the typical DC fan, we both hated Justice League. The general audience didn't get it. Like, it felt off to them from the ones that I've talked to. But to the DC fans, we felt like we were mocked. What the problem is was that if Zack had stepped down on his own, then I wouldn't even be saying anything. If he stepped down on his own, then this would not be a problem. I mean, Justice League probably still would be bad, but it's about context of what happened. This is about how one man, that his project was taken away from him, his vision was taken away from him at the worst time possible, and that's just a crappy move done by Warner Brothers. So after Justice League release, it was considered a bomb by DC fans and just a mockery to us. A lot of us, we just imagine Justice League just doesn't exist, and I know that sounds pretty petty, but it's the context of what happened was that one man was robbed of his vision, that he wasn't able to complete his work. And also the fact that how Joss Whedon handled it. Now, it's not 100% his fault. Again, I don't like Joss Whedon, but it's not 100% his fault. It's Warner Brothers. They're the ones that funded him, telling him to reshoot most of the movie, use new stuff. And also there's been other articles suggesting that the actors did not get along with him too, saying that whenever they like to put in input of what they should do, he would shoot it down. So he wasn't really well liked back there on set. Other DC movies started coming out and it was business as usual, but during all of this hashtag came up and it was called Release the Snyder Cut. I started seeing this on Twitter by Fiona. Like, I'll have her handle up here. That's where I really started seeing it from. And then there's been a bunch of people who just started getting into the movement, started telling people, hey, release the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut. And they would release it on Twitter any little bit that they can. Sometimes it was right, sometimes it was bad timing. I will admit that, like, sometimes some fans can go a little bit overboard, but that's with any fandom, and I need to express that this is not we were upset because we didn't get what we want. It's an injustice. Ironically, right? It was an injustice to Justice League. Also, this is kind of slandering his name too, because when you watch the movie, it says directed by Zack Snyder, which I don't agree with. It should have been said directed by Joss Whedon. He only got a writer's credit, which I don't know if they were trying to be like respectful, but I mean, you just might as well have just removed his name. But as the movement progressed and actually started to build, it didn't start picking up until last year, around November, around its anniversary. That's when several people on Twitter went about saying, release the Snyder Cut. Even several big name celebrities were asking about it. Ben Affleck tweeted about it. Gal Gadot tweeted about it. Ed Boon has been tweeting about it. Just a lot of people have been asking for it, like actually telling people, hey, release it. So there was some hope there. Other celebrities and other people were actually starting to get curious about it. Even if you weren't like a DC fan, and I saw enough of this on Twitter, is that a lot of people were interested about this. Hey, what's with the Snyder Cut? Like, hey, maybe it's something good. Like, it has to be better than what was released in theaters. It has to be. Like, Jesse Eisenberg didn't know what was going on, and then when he found out, he was like, you know what? I like to see that. And just everyone is just asking, hey, where is it? I would like to see it. I would like to see it complete. And then it happened. It's May 20th. Zack Snyder was hosting a watch party with Man of Steel. With everything that's been going on, he wanted to host a watch party with Man of Steel. And afterwards, he unveils it. Zack Snyder's Justice League. And Twitter blew up. Everyone is talking about it. Even right now, as me recording it, people are still talking about it. Because it's a big deal. One, to be honest, it probably never would have happened the way people were used to it. Like, oh, release it out on DVD or release it to theaters. But with the streaming age coming on, where people are looking for content for their streaming devices, this was the perfect opportunity. AT&T saw an opportunity and they wanted to bank on that idea. And to be honest, I don't know if that's the core reason why they're doing it. And to be honest, I'm glad that they're doing it. Because they obviously been paying close eye of what's been going on. I read an article from the Hollywood Reporter stating that they called Zack Snyder about it, saying like, we're interested in this. We want this for HBOMax. Do you want to do it? He said yes, and we're getting this. And it's such a big deal because everyone on Twitter and on the DC fandom, we're all excited about this. And to be honest, it's the first time that all of us have been united. I remember when Justice League came out, we were pretty decisive. It just felt like the fandom was falling apart. And then now, because of this, all of us are united again. All of us are just happy that this happened. So it's not just because we're getting more content or we're getting a longer movie. That's not even the point of the Snyder Cut. The point of this movie is that an injustice was corrected. And to be honest, that should be the lesson that we should take from this, is that if Warner Brothers would have just stuck to their guns, if they would have just released BBS to the original cut, what it did in the Blu-ray edition, the Ultimate Edition, if they would have done that, that could have been avoided. That whole theatrical cut thing. And it possibly would have made $1 billion. Even if people would have hated it, it probably would have made $1 billion because people would have been curious about it. Then Suicide Squad would be much different. Actually, the way people are talking, we may get a David Ayer cut. And I would love that. As much, I do love Suicide Squad. The version we got now, I do love it. But I do recognize that that version would be better. From all the stuff that David Ayer has been showing us on Twitter, I would definitely take that cut. And if the Snyder Cut is successful, then we could possibly get that. If AT&T sees enough money to that, they may be able to do that. If Warner Brothers would have stuck to their guns and let Zack do his work, all of this could have been avoided, and you would have made a good movie, you would have made fans happy, and that would have been the end of it. Because sometimes companies need to let people do their work, do their vision. Even if a lot of people don't like the vision, at least directors got to do their work and the company wouldn't look so bad to say, oh, we don't let people do what their vision is. Because that's what it boils down to. It's correcting a wrong. And this is not fanboy pandering too, saying like, we held the company hostage. AT&T is a multi-billion-dollar company. Do you think it's gonna listen to people? Like what? You're just gonna argue on Twitter and be like, oh, AT&T, they listen to fans. Like, where was this energy with hashtag save Spider-Man from Sony, that hashtag, or hashtag rehire James Gunn, which that is controversial enough as it is. That's all it is that's why it's so important to us DC fans, is that a guy got to finish his work. He is gonna finish his work. We're going to get a 4-hour or a 6-part miniseries of this movie. And I am all for that. This has been announced, and it's not going anywhere. He is probably working on it right now as we speak. Because this doesn't come out till 2021. I don't mind waiting another year for this movie. Because I know it would be done right. In closing, I just want to mention that when it comes out, let's all support this movie. Because a lot of fans spent a couple of years saying release the Snyder Cut. At least what we can do is watch the movie, and then we can decide if we like it or we don't like it. But I'm gonna be quite honest with you, anything, literally anything, can be better than what we got in the theaters. I cannot stress that enough. That was a bad movie. All the photos that I've been showing during this whole thing, that is from the original cut that he has filmed. That is what we're most likely getting in this movie, and who knows, maybe we'll get some new stuff too, because they said it would cost about $20 million to $30 million to finish the project. Like, that's gonna be a big task, but that's how much it's gonna be, and I cannot wait for it. And that's it. We're done talking about the Snyder Cut. To be honest, I'm really excited about this movie. Like, I'm content. Like, my watch list for 2021 is stacked right now. We got Black Adam, we got the Batman with Robert Pattinson, and then now we have Justice League. Like, that's everything that I want. Like, that is the perfect thing. Not to mention Flash is going to go into production soon. Aquaman 2 will probably go in production soon. And then we'll probably get some more projects announced too, because DC is thriving right now. And to be honest, this will change the course too. There's talks of Henry Cavill coming back now. So everything looks like it's going back to what it was, and it all boils down to one thing. They needed to stick to their guns. You needed to stick with what you are. DC is more of a mature take on comic book characters. They're not here to please you, they're just there to tell a story. And that's what DC is to me. They're here to tell a story. They're not here to please you, they're not here to anger you. They're just simply here to tell you a story, and you can decide if you like it or not. This would be the end of the video. Hit the notification bell to let you know when some more videos come out. Also, like, subscribe, share, and also there will be links down below for my Twitter and Instagram, especially Twitter where I get all my DC related stuff. And also, if you'd like to comment on anything that I've missed out about the Snyder Cut, any important details, do feel free to comment. Until next time, my outlets, I'll catch you later.